I said I wasn't ready to be a wife, only a lover. It felt fearless then, like I was choosing myself over tradition. I told Noah that marriage looked like still water to me, safe, calm, but too still. He smiled, said he wanted the tide. For a while we were just that, waves, breaking and returning. But tides go somewhere, don't they? Now he's building quiet mornings with Claire, laughter over coffee cups, shared grocery lists, the life I once mocked as ordinary. And I'm here, replaying every touch that never asked for a prompt. I said I wanted nights, not mornings, and he listened, maybe too well. Sometimes I wonder if freedom is just loneliness wearing a prettier name. Tell me, when you let love go for honesty's sake, are you brave or just afraid to stay? Morning light leaks through the curtains like it's trying to find her. Elena wakes to the soft hum of traffic below, the city already moving without her. She scrolls through messages that never arrive. Memory flickers. Noah once brought her coffee just the way she liked it. Half sweet, extra hot. Now she makes it herself and can't get the taste right. She stirs, sips, and watches the swirl fade. She tells herself she chose this, that love without cages was freedom. But freedom feels heavy when no one's waiting for you to come home. The apartment hums with the ghosts of what could have been. She wonders if Noah ever looks for her shadow in their new mornings, or if he's already learned to live in light. Memory cuts in. Last autumn, Central Park, leaves falling like soft confessions. She and Noah walked for hours without speaking, letting silence carry the truth neither could name. He wanted roots, she wanted sky. He squeezed her hand and said, "You will come back when you're ready." She laughed then, certain she never would. Now, months later, she feels the echo of that grip every time the wind brushes her palm. She wonders if promises not spoken still count as broken. Rain returns by afternoon. Elena finds herself outside Noah's new building without meaning to be there. She stands across the street, watching warm yellow light spill from a window where laughter lived. Claire's silhouette moves behind him, steady and sure. Elena presses her palms into her pockets, grounding herself against the urge to call his name. She tells herself it's closure, not longing, but her heartbeat disagrees. She turns before they can see her, her reflection sliding off wet glass like goodbye incarnate. That night, Elena writes a letter she'll never send. She thanks Noah for teaching her what real love felt like, and for letting it end without cruelty. She admits she was scared. Not of marriage, but of mattering too much. She folds the page, places it in the drawer beside the gold ring, and finally exhales. Outside, thunder rolls low over the skyline. For the first time, she doesn't check her phone before sleeping. Some endings aren't about loss. They're about learning the difference between wanting someone and wanting to be ready for them. Weeks pass before Elena notices the empty spaces in her days softening. She meets Adrian, 31, at a Nilrib gallery. He spills coffee on his sleeve and laughs at himself. Something about his ease feels safe, like air returning to a room that had gone stale. They talk about light, art, and how people paint the same skyline but see different things. For the first time in months, she forgets to check her phone. She leaves without giving her number, but the sound of his laugh follows her home like a melody she didn't know she'd missed. The second time they meet is accidental, if anything ever really is. Rain forces her into the same cafe he's sketching in. He gestures to the empty seat, easy grin intact. They talk about how people hide in storms. She admits she used to. His silence is comfortable, not demanding. When he finally says, "You look like someone learning how to breathe again," she almost laughs, almost cries. Me. Both. Days blend into conversations, slow and unhurried. Adrian never asks about her past, and somehow that's the kindest thing he could do. Still, she finds herself mentioning Noah without meaning to. Little fragments, like ghosts testing the air. Adrian listens, eyes steady, and says only, "That must have hurt." No judgment, no pity, just space. And in that space, something fragile starts to mend. Later that week, she invites him to a rooftop film night. City lights flicker below as an old projector hums behind them. She watches him more than the movie. How he laughs, how he doesn't fill silence with noise. When the wind lifts her hair, he reaches to tuck it back but stops halfway, letting her choose the space between them. She smiles. Maybe love doesn't have to arrive with declarations. Maybe it can whisper instead. One night, Elena dreams of Noah again. But in this one, he doesn't speak. He just smiles from across the room and fades like smoke. She wakes to sunlight pouring through her curtains, her chest light. Adrian's text blinks on her phone. Coffee? No reason. She types, yes. Maybe readiness isn't about timing. Maybe it's about courage, to say yes again, softly, without promises, just hope. It starts small. Text she takes longer to answer, calls she lets ring once too many times. Adrian notices but doesn't chase. He just says, "You get quiet when you think too much." He's right. She tells herself she's protecting the peace she's built, but really, it's fear disguised as independence. One night, she re-adds the letter she wrote to Noah. She doesn't cry. She just folds it smaller, like she's making room for a new story, but isn't ready to read it yet. Adrian invites her to meet his friends. It's casual, wine, laughter, music spilling from speakers. But the moment she walks in, she feels that old panic, like she's being placed into someone's life instead of standing in her own. He introduces her simply. This is Elena. No labels, no expectations. Still, her chest tightens. Later, when he asks if she's okay, she lies, "I'm fine." He smiles, knowing she isn't, and doesn't press. That's the thing about gentle people. They make it harder to hide. A few days later, she cancels dinner with him, saying she needs space. She means it, but the silence that follows feels heavier than she expected. That night, she walks the Brooklyn Bridge alone, wind biting at her sleeves. The city glows beneath her, millions of stories unfolding at once. And for the first time, she admits she's tired of being only a visitor in her own life. Maybe freedom isn't leaving. Maybe it's staying and still feeling like yourself. She shows up at Adrian's studio unannounced. He's painting, muted blues and warm ochres blending into something that looks like dawn. "I didn't know where else to go," she says. He wipes his hands and smiles gently. "You don't need a reason. It's the quietest forgiveness she's ever been given." She doesn't promise anything, but she stays while he works, breathing in the smell of paint and light. Sometimes healing sounds like silence shared between two people who stopped pretending to be unbreakable. Later, as they walk home, he says, "You don't have to know where this is going." She laughs softly. "That's all I've ever known." They stop under a street lamp. He doesn't touch her, just looks at her, steady and sure. She realizes love isn't about readiness. It's about willingness. The streetlight flickers once, and she lets herself smile without fear. For the first time, she feels present in her own story. Elena's days find a rhythm again. Coffee with Adrian, long walks, laughter that doesn't echo. Then one afternoon, an email subject freezes her. "Hey, it's been a while. Noah." Just reading his name stirs an ache she thought was gone. He writes simply, "I saw you at the gallery last month. You looked happy. I'm glad." Nothing more. No request. Still, her heartbeat stumbles. Healing isn't a straight line, it's a circle, and sometimes it loops back where it started. She doesn't tell Adrian right away. The next morning, he notices her distraction. "You look miles away," he says. "Just thinking," she answers, too quickly. He doesn't press, just offers her his hand as they cross the street. She takes it, hesitates for half a second. It's small, but the silence between their fingers feels like truth. trying to speak. That night, she drafts a reply to Noah, then deletes it. Drafts again. Deletes again. What would she even say? That she's finally okay? That someone new makes her laugh without guilt? Or that part of her still flinches at his name? The cursor blinks like a heartbeat she can't steady. Eventually, she closes the laptop and whispers into the dark, "I forgive you." The words aren't for him. They're for herself. A week later, Noah appears at the same cafe where she once found refuge from rain. It's almost cinematic, the kind of scene she used to daydream about. He looks older, calmer. "You look good," he says. She smiles, meaning it. There's no ache this time, just a quiet understanding between two people who once tried and broke and learned. "So do you," she replies. Outside, it begins to rain again, as if the world's closing a loop. When she tells Adrian later, he just listens. No jealousy, no judgment. "Do you still love him?" he asks quietly. She shakes her head. "No. I just stopped needing him to understand why." Adrian nods. "That's love too," he says, and she knows he's right. Love isn't possession or apology, it's presence. The kind that stays when ghosts finally stop knocking. She leans her head on his shoulder, the city humming softly around them. Autumn returns. The air tastes like change. Crisp, clean, forgiving. Elena paints again, something she hadn't done in years. Adrian helps her hang the canvases in his studio, then steps back, saying, "You should show these." She smiles, unsure, but the idea doesn't scare her. For the first time, her art feels like her voice, not her escape. Healing, she realizes, isn't about replacing pain. It's about giving it somewhere to go. She decides to rent her own space downtown. Small, bright, full of echoes waiting to be filled. Adrian helps her move, carrying boxes and jokes in equal measure. "You're not leaving," he says. "You're expanding." She grins. For once, parting doesn't feel like loss. It feels like breath. They kiss goodbye at the door, not as a farewell, but as recognition. Two whole people sharing a moment before stepping forward. Weeks later, her art show opens. People she's never met stop to study her paintings. Some linger, some move on. She watches quietly from the corner, glass of wine in hand. Adrian arrives late, but smiles when he sees her. No words, just pride. For a moment, she feels everything converge. The loss, the love, the letting go. This, she thinks, is what it means to live inside your own story. Later that night, she walks home alone. The city feels different. Not louder or softer, just hers. She passes the cafe where she once saw Noah. The bridge where she found her courage. The window she used to stare through. All still there. But she isn't the same. For once, she doesn't need to rewrite the past to belong in the present. Freedom no longer feels like loss. It feels like love, steady, unclaimed. Enough. At dawn, Elena stands on her balcony, watching the city wake. She makes coffee, half sweet, extra hot, and smiles when it tastes right. Her phone buzzes, a message from Adrian, simple and kind. She replies, then sets it down, staring out at the skyline. "I wasn't ready to be a wife," she whispers, "but I'm finally ready to be me." The camera lingers on her face as sunlight floods the room. Her story no longer about who she lost, but who she became. The invitation arrives on cream paper. Featured artist. Voices of the city. Elena reads it twice before smiling. Months ago, she wouldn't have dared. Now the thought of sharing her work doesn't scare her. It feels necessary. She calls Adrian. He answers with his usual warmth. "You did it," he says. She pauses. "No," she replies. "I'm just ready to talk about it." For the first time, she means every word. On the night of the event, the gallery hums with murmurs and footsteps. Elena's collection is called What We Let Go. She stands in front of her favorite piece, a soft blend of storm gray and dawn gold. and feels the room slow around her. A woman asks, "Is it about heartbreak?" Elena smiles. About what comes after. A local radio producer asks her to record a short talk about her art. She agrees, sitting before a microphone in a small studio. Her voice trembles at first and steadies. "I once thought love was about staying," she says, "but sometimes it's about knowing when to stop running from yourself." She laughs softly at her own words. The producer smiles through the glass. She realizes her confession isn't about Noah, or even Adrian. It's about learning to live truthfully, out loud. Later, she walks home through the city dusk, earbuds playing her recorded voice from the interview. Hearing herself speak, her truth feels strange, like meeting an older version of who she hoped to be. She passes a bookstore window where her reflection overlaps a display of journals titled New Beginnings. She laughs. Maybe the universe has a sense of humor after all. That night, she gets a message from Noah, a photo of the cafe where they last met, captioned simply, "I'm proud of you." She smiles, no tears, no ache, just gratitude. She types back, "Thank you." Then she sends Adrian the recording from her radio talk. His reply is a single line, "You sound free." She leans back, eyes closed. The city hum in the distance and whispers, "I am." Morning arrives like mercy. The city hums below, soft and endless. Elena wakes early, not out of loneliness but habit. The kind you build when your life finally fits. She brews coffee, paints a few strokes on an unfinished canvas, and opens her balcony door. For once, she doesn't feel like the world is rushing past her. She's inside it, living, breathing, belonging. The silence feels earned. Her radio segment airs that afternoon. As her recorded voice drifts through the speakers, she sits cross-legged on the floor, listening. Love, she hears herself say, isn't about readiness. It's about honesty with others, but mostly with yourself. She smiles, almost amused that it sounds like someone wiser said it. She realizes that maybe she's become the person she once needed to hear. Afternoon light floods her studio. Canvases lean in every corner, storms and sunsets, endings and beginnings. She writes a small note on one painting's back, for the woman who wasn't ready. She doesn't sign it. She doesn't need to. Some stories don't require an author, only a witness brave enough to tell them. As evening settles, she walks to the river. The city's reflection shivers on the surface, alive and imperfect. She tosses a folded scrap of paper into the current, an old line from her unsent letter to Noah. The paper floats, then disappears. She whispers, "Thank you," not to him, not to anyone, just to the passing of time. The last frame fades to her reflection in the studio window, her own gaze meeting itself. "I said I wasn't ready to be a wife," her voice narrates, soft but certain. "But maybe I was never meant to belong to someone else first. Maybe I just needed to belong to me." The camera lingers as she paints a final stroke, a soft color somewhere between dusk and dawn. The film ends not with goodbye, but with